Yeah, obviously going up to Alnwick, there's no way of sugarcoating it. The result, gutting, when you've gone 53 weeks without losing, you kind of don't think it's ever going to happen. We knew going up to Alnwick was going to be tricky. So it's not that we were disrespecting them in any way, but we were on such a roll, and we believed that we'd go up there and get the job done. So yeah, so gutted not to get it done. That said, one hell of a game. Different level to what we've had so far this season, and probably for most of last season in terms of the intensity and the physicality of that game. Some of the boys who were unavailable for that game but still came up 15, 20 minutes in were saying, wow, is this what it looks like most weeks? And we're like, no, this is a different level. So one heck of a game. Gutted to be on the wrong side of it. I thought physically, even in defeat, we were fantastic. We defended well. We looked after the ball really well in attack. Probably didn't quite get into the areas that we used to getting into on a regular basis. That said, still scored 3 great tries. But yeah, I think in that second half, were able to kick long and put us under pressure and try and make us build back up the field. That 1 point advantage that they held for most of that second half was really decisive, really, because they were able to kick us back, and then we were having to work back to try and get in 3-point range, and we never quite got there, unfortunately. But yeah, that said, we've lost, but it's all still in our hands because of the hard work that we've put in the 18 games prior to it. Fair play to Alnwick now. I think, if we go on and get the job done and stay top of the league, I think there'll be a real handful for anybody if they end up in the playoffs. So yeah, we'll see how that pans out, but it's obviously still in our hands despite the defeat, and fair play to Alnwick, but we're looking to bounce back. Yeah, no better place to go really than to have another top 5 challenge. I think our last 4 games have been against 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th at the time of playing them. So a really hard run of games. This is the last one of that 4. It'll be a real test. Ilkley have set the world alight at times this year with their brand of rugby, but also they've lost tight games against those other top 4 teams. So we're again backing ourselves to go over there with a few bodies back fit. So I think we'll be a bit more aggressive down the middle of the park with the ball this week. We'll be able to get over the gain line, and that's certainly what we'll be looking to do. But that said, we'll have to be on our toes and be alive in defence as well, because we know that they've got try scorers littered through their back line, and if we are off the pace or we're not looking after inside shoulders and outside shoulders, some of their backs will spot that and punish us for it. So we've spoke a lot this week and trained with that in mind. And then for the Hawks, it's a really good opportunity for them to play a team from the league above. They've had some blowouts most of the season. Disappointing performance last time out, which means both teams have got a point to prove on Saturday. There's no better place for us really to go and do that, because the teams in front of us are not going to be done and dusted after 20 minutes, which I think we've had for both the first team and Hawks at times this year, which obviously when you end up in them tight games isn't always beneficial. So yeah, good to get 2 sides out together, be travelling over together, because we've not been able to do that too often this season as well. So yeah, challenges have been laid down for both teams to get back on the horse and for normal service to be resumed on Saturday. There's a couple more boys who've been hard done by, but are probably victims of the team's success. So when you're part of a team that are winning each week, are scoring bonus points each week, it's quite difficult to stand out to the opposition coaches and players who are voting for the team, which I think when you look through, there's 1 or 2 players who are probably their team's best players, so to speak, who need to be 10 out of 10 every week for their team to be competitive. Our boys are surrounded by lads who are playing 8s, 9s and 10s every week. Chris, I think it's testament to the work that he's still putting in at his advancing years. I hope he won't mind me saying that, but he's still willing to learn. He still pushes himself really hard during the week to stay fit and recover and all those things. Sometimes that's a worry with him when muscles start to tighten up and he says, oh, I'll just get in the gym and sort it out. And you think, just have a day off, Chris, rest your body. That's probably what it's telling you. But yeah, testament to him and the fact that each week he turns up and, like I've said, he's one of those who's 8, 9, 10 out of 10 every week. And opposition props, I think, are probably sick of the sight of him and hoping that he will retire at some point. And then we've got Ezra. I think he's been underappreciated in those initial teams of the year for the last couple of years, but it's nice to see him getting that recognition, because what he brings is all the elements you want in a 12, but what you quite often end up with is that you have a carrying 12 or a defensive 12. And then separate to that, you've got a ball playing 12 who can spot gaps. Ezra brings really high scores in each of those aspects of the game, and he's key to how we're able to play, because he can get over the gain line, he'll take people on physically, but then when the ball moves through his hands, he's the quickest at throwing 15, 20-yard passes. The ball's in and out really, really quick. Jake, his try-scoring form speaks for itself, but again, someone who has worked really hard over the last 18 months, because he's got that speed, he's got that top-end speed, but he's worked really hard on his all-round game, making sure he's in the right position, not trying to catch the ball at 100 miles an hour all the time, so he's taken that feedback on board, and it's shown in his try-scoring being top of the try-scoring charts, but also in his all-round performances. He's dangerous from a long way out. When people kick loose and Jake picks it up, or when he starts to cut back in to check if defenders are being lazy. So, yeah, really, really happy for him. And then Clum's probably a victim of having been in these teams before where teams know to mark him and things. But on his day this year, he's been unplayable, thinking Sandal away, Bladen away when he had a purple patch, he was just ripping them to shreds. So, yeah, all four boys, really happy for them. I think a notable mention, probably Harvey needs a shout. He'd be, if I was picking a team out of this league, he'd be in that back row every single week. I think Cloughie got a nod on the forum about being unplayable at times, and I'd agree with that. Jono gets overlooked. I think that's because no one dare pick him, because he's a bit of a figure of ridicule and people like to get on his back and they just see the shouting and things. But I think every other team in the league would probably take him at 10, if I'm honest. So, yeah, a couple of boys there who can consider themselves unlucky, but you can't be too greedy, and having four and providing what's that, a fifth of the squad, we need to be pretty happy with that. And yeah, good luck to them boys if they do play in the game at the end of the season. And then I just want to finish by saying good luck to our under-15s on Sunday. We've got a big final down here against, is it Middlesbrough, I think? Middlesbrough. And I think the under-7s and under-8s are giving them a bit of a curtain raiser before. So hopefully they'll get good numbers down Sunday if people aren't busy and they're coming to pick cars up from the day before, if they've had a few beers or whatever. Stick around and get behind those boys, and hopefully they'll bring home the first bit of silverware of the season, yeah, which hopefully we can replicate over the next couple of weeks.